This is Jackie Busjager, and I'm bringing you an update presentation on our 2024 permitting season at the Comfort Lake Forest Lake Watershed District. So up first, we have some general overview numbers from the 2024 season. And as you can see, we had 1,767 site inspections performed, which is pretty hefty. And that came with a 95.76 mean site inspection compliance. That was for 38 active permits, and during that time we had 41 permit applications come in, 10 of those approved, and 27 permits closed out. This graph shows the number of inspections per month in 2024, and our inspection rates tend to be highest in the summer months, and last year we had a pretty rainy start to our busy season. So between our permitting staff, we were able to check up pretty frequently on some of those sites that really needed it. And we were able to keep it going pretty strong through the winter months this year. The construction activity does get scaled back a little bit during those months, and we kind of designed our inspection effort to mirror the amount of activity we were seeing in the field. So we did continue weekly inspections at a selective selection of some of those most active sites. This graph is showing the total inspections per year, as well as total hours of staff time devoted to inspections during that year. So the total inspections are in the teal color, and the staff hours are the gray bar right next to it. And we hit a record high in 2024 with 1,767 inspections. And we managed to do that pretty efficiently thanks to the digital inspection forms that we use. That also included 298 hours of staff time. This graph shows the number of inspections performed per hour in each year. And so if you look at 2024, it declined a little bit from 2023 and 2022. But it still remains at approximately 6 inspections per hour, or about 10 minutes per inspection. So staff aims to be really quick and efficient with our typical inspections, and takes a little more time with the sites that have violations or concerns. And the drop in the inspection rate might be due to just the massive number of inspections that took place in 2024. And we're working toward automating our inspection reports to make this process even more efficient. In 2024, we saw a small rise in the number of permits that were approved since 2023. And that number now kind of falls into the middle of this graph. It's not the most we've ever seen, and it's not the lowest either. This is a map of permits that were received in 2024. So the majority of those permits are still active, but some of them were really quick with it and have already been closed out. So those closed out ones are depicted here in black. And those are typically smaller permits, such as small roadwork projects or residential projects that don't require a long time to stabilize. So those are shown in the black. The active sites here are green, and the red ones indicate permits that have applied but not yet been approved. And I just want to note in this photo on this slide, this is one of the most fun things I've seen at an inspection site. There's little raccoon tracks on this biolog near the forest. I just thought it was awesome. So this map is showing the status of all of our permits, not just 2024, but all of them that are currently active, shown here in green, ones that have applied, shown in red, and ones that are conditionally approved, which are shown in an orange color here. This map's really similar to the last one. It's all the permits, and this one shows the type, the category of construction for each permit. So the majority of these are residential projects. They're shown here in red, but we also oversaw several commercial projects in the Forest Lake downtown area and Highway 8 corridor, and those are shown in blue. And several housing developments are also underway, especially just north of us in Wyoming and a little bit south of Forest Lake. Those are shown in yellow. And we also had a few government projects shown here in green. A lot of those were road improvements, and included the North Shore Trail BMPs. This slide is just a refresher on the Comfort Lake Forest Lake Watershed District permit rules. The bolded ones are the ones that we track, and Rule 2, 3, and 4 tend to be the most common that are triggered. And some permits will trigger multiple rules. So here's a breakdown of the rules that were triggered by our 2024 permits. So as you can see, most of them triggered erosion control. A small amount, just 3 of them, required stormwater management measures. These included a parking lot redevelopment, a housing development, and the Chase Bank that is downtown. Most applicants pay an application erosion control fee, but those fees are waived for government projects, which explains the lower number of permits triggering rule number 9. It's not quite as high as those that triggered 3. And there was just one project we saw that triggered rule 4, and that was a residential construction potentially impacting a wetland. So in 2024, staff aimed to make the permit review process more efficient and were able to perform engineering reviews for 82% of the submitted sediment and erosion control permits in-house. So this has reduced the expense to permit applicants by a little over $150. Engineering reviews for more complex projects will still be handled by EOR, but doing this in-house was a good way to streamline the process and reduce the fiscal burden on permit applicants. In addition to inspections of construction sites, staff was also able to dedicate some time to conduct inspections of ongoing maintenance agreements and declarations. And that came with a total of 60 site inspections in 2024. Many of those sites have multiple BMPs present, so staff were able to evaluate a total of 104 individual BMPs. More than 70% of those sites were found to be in compliance, and permit holders are also responsible for submitting their own annual inspection to us in addition to the inspections we conduct. 21 of those permit holders did submit self-inspections in 2024, which is actually a great increase from last year's total of 6. Staff aims to keep increasing this response from permit holders in 2025. This slide is showing every site within the watershed district that has an active maintenance agreement for a BMP. And it shows the type of BMP that is protected. So the green are buffers, and most of them are located either around shorelines on lakes or wetlands. And the other one here is shown in blue. It's the stormwater treatment, which you can see is most concentrated in like the downtown Forest Lake area and the developed parts of Wyoming. And that tends to be a fairly urban thing. And some sites have both types of BMP, and these photos on the left are a good example of a site that has both. This is Himes Lake Villas, a development over in Wyoming, and it has both a lake buffer shown on top. It's that nice vegetation full of goldenrod and all kinds of beautiful flowers, and on the bottom here is a stormwater treatment basin that also has a lot of beautiful native plantings. 2024 was the pilot year for this new online survey tool that is used to evaluate BMP sites. This tool was built in Survey 123 by Victoria. And in addition to streamlining the process for staff, it also allows permit holders to submit their self-inspections online instead of needing to send them through the mail. So this might have been a factor in the increase of those self-inspection responses in 2024. In 2025, staff are aiming to inspect at least 90% of all BMP sites and continue to increase that self-reporting rate.